topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, probably one of the most listened to and watched show in America today. We are now in 18 different markets, and one of our top, I would say our top 3 show topics is tax relief. And we were able to find one of the best tax relief firms in the United States. And because we're talking federal, if you are in another area besides Florida, Kevin can help you. We're going to be talking about partial pay installments today, agreements, and it is going to be a fabulous show. Let me welcome you to one of the top tax relief attorneys in the United States, attorney Kevin Benjamin. Good morning, Kevin, and Happy New Year.
How you doing?
Doing well, bro. Doing well. First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Let's hope 2024 is a lot better than 2023. I know it is for the IRS because they got all these new IRS agents, which I don't know what that's going to do to your job, but listen, I'm just glad that we have you, Kevin. Tell everybody, because I just got 4 emails the other day of people who found our show and have become listeners now. Tell people about your firm.
Well, thanks, Steve. Well, I'm a tax attorney based out of Chicago. I'm licensed in Florida, Illinois, numerous federal jurisdictions, U.S. tax court. So we're able to help people in a lot of jurisdictions. And what we do at Noble Tax Relief is just concentrate on IRS representation or state taxing agencies. Some maybe you'll state Illinois. I know Florida doesn't have state tax, but like in Illinois or other states, sometimes state tax. We can take care of that as well. But mostly it's IRS representation. Dealing with taxpayers who are behind on taxes. Maybe they're going to get a lien or a levy. They don't know what to do. They're not aware that you could settle with the IRS or make payments or make partial payments. They're not aware that there's various resolutions with the IRS, and they're not aware the IRS actually is willing to resolve things with you if you got a reason. So there's different programs with the IRS to work out your tax liability, and then have them not levy or lien you and get them under control. Obviously, it's not a matter of just calling and asking. You got to go through a process and give them information. And there's different qualifications for programs, and each program has a sub-program. Don't want to get too detailed. That's what you have me for, someone like me, to see what you qualify for. You may qualify for more than one thing. And if you qualify, they're going to take it. It's just a matter of negotiation, the qualifications. A lot of times you're negotiating equity or income or expenses or conditional expenses, or you're self-employed. So to get the amount we could pay is a negotiation. Like the IRS may say, you could pay X, but we really can't. We can't pay Y. And that's what we got to make them understand why we are only able to pay X and why they should take our offer, or installment agreement, or partial pay, or they have what's called a currently non-collectible, where you can get in a currently non-collectible status and not pay anything for a while. So there's a lot of things to resolve.
Kevin,
So we handle people who are
I'm sorry, we got a
the IRS. That's what
email the other day from a listener, and he wanted me to ask you this. And apparently he might be in some trouble, but he wanted to know what makes not paying your taxes on, or not paying your taxes, or not filing. When does it become criminal?
Well, I mean, just not paying is not necessarily criminal in and of itself. There's a civil division with the IRS, and there's a criminal division with the IRS. And you know, how much you're hiding, why aren't you paying? So it's a whole more than this show would go. Where they can call me for a free consultation on that, but there's no like fine line like this is it. You know what I'm saying a lot of people haven't paid. It's not necessarily criminal. Now they have failure to pay penalties and failure to file penalties. So they're adding things on there. Sometimes those could be abated and negotiated as well. But when you're late or you file on time but you didn't pay, you get a late paying penalty. If you didn't file on time or you still haven't filed, you may have a failure to file penalty. That's not criminal in and of itself. That's just extra fees, which sometimes could be negotiated or even waived or abated. But a lot of people are behind. So that's the whole point. Don't be afraid to contact a professional, because the first thing you have to do with the IRS, well, first of all, the first thing we do is you contact us. We get either a power of attorney for information or a power of attorney to represent you on file with the IRS. Okay. Now we are your legal representative. So the IRS will deal with, and they'll be happy to deal with us. Or to handle somebody, you got to be an attorney, a CPA, or what they call an enrolled agent, which someone has an educational background with the IRS, take some courses, stuff like that. So the IRS likes you to have a professional because they know, we can talk their language and work it out. They want to work it out. And a lot of times the individual is either afraid to work it out, afraid to call, so that you can't work it out, which makes things worse, or don't open the mail. So now they're getting levied or liened and garnished, or they try to work it out and they say the wrong thing because they went on Google and they learned to say X and it's really the wrong thing. So don't try to do it yourself. You can do it yourself, but I would advise you to get a professional. So the first thing is the IRS would happy to involve us. So we get the power of attorney. The next is the investigation stage. Probably pull a tax transcript with the IRS, see what information they have on you. Where are you in the process? Because usually the client doesn't know because they haven't opened their mail, or they're just got so much stress on them. They don't know what's going on. Even when they try to tell me, it's not always the right information. So we could find with the IRS what stage you're in with the investigations, or the collection process, or liens or levies or whatever. And are you in compliance? So as this person was asking, maybe they're behind 1 year, maybe 4 or 5 years in taxes. That's not necessarily criminal, but we got to file them. Okay. So when you don't file the tax returns, sometimes the IRS may file them for you. It's called an SFR, substitute for return. You don't want that because they're not looking out for you on the deductions and stuff like that. So the first thing we'll do is, okay, you're behind X years, or maybe they filed a substitute for return and they're estimating you owe 30 grand, something like that. Doesn't mean it's true. So the first thing we got to do is get compliant. So we can work with your accountant or CPA, or we have people that can help you, and let's get your returns filed. Okay. So sometimes, first of all, maybe like in my example, they estimated 30 grand, but once I file the return, or you get the return filed, maybe it's nothing, or maybe it's 5 grand. So it's not as bad as you think. Okay. It's usually not as bad as you think, because the IRS is usually when they do it for you, is usually probably the worst case scenario. So, so now you're compliant. So now we know what do you owe and what tax year. Okay. I'm also an attorney. I have a background in bankruptcy. I'm not saying call me to file bankruptcy. Sometimes taxes are dischargeable in bankruptcy. Sometimes they're not. My job is, though, what are your options? So now we filed your returns, got you compliant. You owe 30 grand. But is it for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? It could be 5 grand here, 7 grand there, 3 grand there. So you got to analyze each tax year. And is it dischargeable? I'm not saying you file bankruptcy on it, but I have people owe 100, 150,000. They just rather file bankruptcy on it if they can get rid of it. My job is what's your option, okay, and help you make an informed decision. You could discharge all of it, some of it, or some of it starting on this day. You qualify for an offer and compromise or not, an installment agreement or not, partial pay installment agreement or not. There's different kind of offer and compromises. So what are all your options? So now that we got you investigated with the tax transcripts, we got you compliant. Now let's figure out what option or options you have to resolve the debt. And then, the client and I would discuss which one he wants to proceed, at least on a first effort. And then we would, get the information that's relative to the IRS, submit the offer type or installment agreement type or currently non-collectible. Because again, maybe, people are afraid, oh my God, what am I going to do? I owe 100 grand. But maybe I can get you a currently non-collectible status. Your payment right now is zero, and they're not going to garnish you or lien you. They're going to review you again in a while, but they'll call me. So we'll get you some breathing room, okay? That way you can answer your phone, answer your mail. You don't have to worry about my accounts being taken. I mean, just peace of mind. That's the best thing. But don't close your eyes. They got $80 billion, whatever they got from the Congress. They're hiring more agents. They're pounding right now, collection letters coming out right now because the pandemic is over, basically. They gave some breaks during the pandemic. They held back on collection notices and stuff for a while. But as of January 2024, that's gone full bore. They got more agents, more resources. They're pounding away and they're coming. But just because they're coming doesn't mean you got to pay if you're non-collectible, or doesn't mean we can't resolve it sometimes for less. So, they will work with you. And that's what people don't understand. The IRS is they want to get paid what they're entitled to get paid, but they're not always entitled to, maybe entitled to the right word. They love to get all their money, okay? But if we show them they actually don't have it, they will accept a settlement, okay? So people don't get that. They want to work with you. They want to get something because something's better than nothing, but they don't just automatically take something. They got to show them. You know what I'm saying? Also, what we got to analyze is what is your statute of limitations? So now we had, in my example, $30,000, different tax years maybe. What is they call it the CSET, the collection statute expiration date. So what is the expiration date on collectability of each individual year? Because if the statute expires on that, you don't got to pay. So now we're only dealing with so-and-so. Also, if we're doing a offer or installment agreement, obviously we want to take those payments and pay to the earliest years. The IRS may want the later years because that's the statute, expiration date. But that's why you have a professional try to negotiate that and walk you through the best possible outcome step by step.
Kevin, let me, because one of the letters we actually got from two different people. They were curious to, what if you just don't have any money? You have nothing, but you owe money. What happens then? Well,
you mean you have no money for the IRS, or you're not working, or what do they say?
Well, one of them was they are working. It seemed like he was on hourly wages, and he owes money. Anyway, he gave me your phone number, but he owes money, but he doesn't have any money. He doesn't own a house. He doesn't even own a car. What would the IRS do to him?
Well, they call me because you'd be surprised if that's the case. You may get a really good offer and compromise settlement, or even if you're doing a partial pay, it may be so low that you'd be shocked. Okay. I mean, You can settle sometimes for $500. You can settle for a lot. I'm not saying call me, you're getting $500, right?
Yeah.
But if that's your ability to pay on a certain formula, they will accept that. And people are shocked by that. They can't understand that, right? So this person's working. It's not they have no money. they don't have any money to pay this tax, realistically. It's just over their heads, right? So let's talk about, for example, there's different programs. Let's talk about a partial pay installment. How would you qualify for that? So let's say you have a tax and you have 50 months left on your CSED, collection statute expiration date. And let's say we do your budget on income, right? And you have $200 to pay, okay? I mean, in reality, if you owe 50, 100 grand, I got nothing to pay. But let's say you got $200, okay, in this example. $200, but the CSED is 50 months. So 200 times 50 is $10,000, okay? Now, how about equity? And with equity, it's not always full value, and sometimes equity in different assets is not collectible. You can't really access it. But in your example with this person, they don't have any equity. So that's zero. So 10,000 plus zero is $10,000, okay? You owe $100,000. Maybe we're talking 10 cents on the dollar on a offer and compromise, or a partial pay installment agreement, $200 for 50 months. You know what I'm saying? So something like that. So it's really worthwhile at least talking to me, because there's different programs and sub-programs. And to answer the person's question directly, it's okay. You don't have any money. Maybe you have a little bit. Or if you have nothing, I get you currently non-collectible. And they'll back off for a while. They'll revisit it. Maybe, they'll call me maybe a couple of years, and we'll talk about it again. And I'll be talking to the client as things go on, but they won't have to worry about it. But if they have a little bit of money, they're going to qualify for either offer and compromise or maybe a partial pay installment agreement, depending on the CSED. And it could be very, very, very low. And people don't get that. You can actually pay. They will accept if I prove that. And in this person's case, it sounds like it's easy to prove, because when I get the information and start doing the budget and the expenses, I'm going to be able to justify, here's the income, here's the reasonable expenses, here's the ability to pay, here's the CSED. The IRS is mandated, if I qualify you for the program, to accept it.
Kevin, I'd like to make a statement I want you to comment on. And I think it's the most important part about this show. It is so important that somebody retain the services like you offer. Tell people why they should not try to handle the IRS themselves.
Okay, well, I'll give you the best example is I'm a lawyer, okay? When you go to law school, the first semester, the first week, first day, during intros or whatever, the first thing they tell you is an attorney who represents himself has a fool for a client, okay? It's the same thing, all right? If I have a legal problem in an area that I don't handle, I hire a professional. I could do my own accounting. I can get TurboTax, whatever, or I could hire, an accountant. You can be your own plumber. But this is the IRS, the most powerful collection agency in the world. Okay.
Yes.
This is what I do. Okay. This is what professionals do who concentrate in this area, not just me, other professionals, right? You want a professional on your side, because first of all, you could do it yourself. You could really hurt yourself.
Yes.
Depending on the situation, if you really screw it up or maybe go criminal, right? Or, okay, you negotiated an installment agreement. Great. Maybe you could have got a partial pay. Maybe you could have got a currently non-collectible. Maybe you could have got an offer and compromise dollars to collectability or dollars to liability. Maybe you have a lien release and you have 30 days to do a collection due process appeal, and you blew the statute. You could really screw it up worse than you want. You make things a lot worse.
By what you say.
Yeah. Plus, this is a matter of the stress and the weight off your shoulders. If you get a professional, it's going to be pretty good.
Kevin, I got to tell you, I've heard so many stories about people who tried to handle the IRS themselves, and all they did was they didn't even realize all they did was make their situation worse. when they could have retained your services where they don't even have to talk to them anymore. And it could have gotten cleared up, but they made it worse by things that they told the IRS
Yeah.
that they didn't think there was anything wrong with sharing it with them.
I hear those same stories to people who call me. So, they try it themselves, and it's worse than they thought. I mean, as an attorney with our law firm, we get the same thing. People try, they're in foreclosure or whatever, and they've made a mess of things. They missed defenses and statutes and stuff like that, and they just make things worse trying to do it yourself. Same thing with IRS representation. Just get a professional, CPA, attorney, enrolled agent, people who not just any lawyer, someone who concentrates, in the area. And they know how to, it's basically the Internal Revenue Manual, which is like the rule book, and, the tax code. And it's just the programs. The key thing is people don't understand the IRS would love to take a deal if. So our job is to make them take it, to let them take it. They actually will cooperate with you. Now, when someone's saying, "Oh, I just want to settle on pennies on the dollar because my friend did, and I want to keep all my Mercedes and pay for it," and all these, I mean, get real, okay? Now, if that's the case, asset-wise, there's other programs still. You know what I'm saying? But don't think magically you just qualify. You got to qualify for programs, okay? And there's different ways to resolve things. Even if you have equity and stuff like that and you want to keep it, there's different programs to make payments to the IRS to do so. So and the consultation's free. So why not call a professional? Let me explain to me first what your situation is. And then I can explain to you what I think we could do for you. And oftentimes there's more than one solution, okay? But the first step is opening the mail, calling for a free consultation, and let's get on top of this, okay? And then if you wanted to proceed, we could file a power of attorney, represent you. IRS won't deal with you anymore. I deal with the IRS. Client cooperates with me. I tell them what I need, tell them why. And, and also if we have to go to the appeals process with the IRS, just because they turn an offer down or installment agreement down, that's not the end of it. There's appeals process, there's second levels, there's tax court. I'm not saying it always goes that way, but I'm saying is if we make an offer that the revenue officer is not taking, I think they should, just file an appeal, go to the appeals process. And the appeals process, by the way, they're actually mandated to make a deal. I mean, if it's reasonable. So it's not like civil court where you go into appeal and it's just, some kind of case. Oftentimes the second level is a more educated, seasoned IRS professional who understands things, where sometimes on the first level, especially now when they have all these new agents being hired who are new. So they don't always understand things either. Sometimes we understand more.
It's funny. I gotta tell you, we just got a text in from a listener who's an attorney, Kevin, and said, "I just wanted to write and let you know that your guest is giving a lot of good information."
Oh,
Now,
thank you very much.
that's pretty cool coming from a peer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice. Kevin, it is so important that people get started with you right away and not procrastinate. And those envelopes you haven't opened that are sitting in the drawer, they're not going away.
Right.
And I think what we have learned from your shows, you've got so many ways to basically fight the IRS.
Right.
That if, everybody's situation is different and you've got your bag full of elements that can help people with the IRS.
Thank you. That's true.
I mean, and I want to also tell people that maybe you got a parent, a father that's living in Boston, say, and he's having problems with the IRS, the best thing you can do for them, because Kevin can handle from anywhere. This is, we're talking about federal taxes. You could actually have your father contact Kevin's office, and Kevin's there for him. It doesn't just have to be in the Florida area or Illinois area. It could be from anywhere. Am I correct?
Correct.
So, and another reason for this show is I hate when people say, I went to the internet to go find someone to represent me. When we have a show like this, we've already done the legwork. We're presenting you people who are the top in their field, and if they can help you, you don't have to go Google somebody.
Right.
We have the experts right here. Kevin, there was so many things that I wanted to get into today about partial pay installment agreements, trust fund recovery penalty, but I wanted to address some of the emails and texts that we've received, because you always explain it so well.
Thank you.
You know what I love about you, Kevin, is you don't talk over people's heads. You don't make them sound like they're some criminal or the taboo, and people get into trouble. They have problems. Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Kevin's pretty young, but I remember days if you filed bankruptcy, that was like, oh, a no. You were a bad person. And it just isn't like that anymore. You don't have to be embarrassed.
Right. Absolutely. You're right.
Kevin, give everybody your how they can reach you, your website address from Noble.
The website is nobletaxrelief.com. Email at info@nobletaxrelief.com, or just go on the website, nobletaxrelief.com, and you can fill in your contact information and I'll be contacted, or call me at 312-489-8000. That's 312-489-8000.
Another thing nice about the show, sometimes you go to a new attorney and you're meeting him for the first time. Kevin's done enough shows with us now. You know him, his knowledge is so amazing, and he really does want to help you. Kevin,
if you contact me, I'll be the one talking to you. So it's not like a national company where you're going through a call center and all that kind of stuff. You'll be scheduled with me.
Let's give out that phone number one more time, too.
312-489-8000, 312-489-8000, nobletaxrelief.com.
Kevin, you're the best.
Thank you.
Kevin will be back with us again, and thank you so much, Kevin. We are going to be back with you again next week, same time. And if you ever you can always go to iHeart, their library. Kevin's show will be on there. All of his shows will be on there. Everybody have a wonderful week. Again, Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Rebel.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.